Hey, and welcome to another episode of Colorisma. I am Shar. I'm hoping you can hear me. I have my interesting setup here. Um, I'm noticing that the thing is not the way I thought it was going to be. Okay. It's different on the computer screen as it is to the phone screen, so oh well. Today we are going to be, and by we, I mean me until y'all join. Um, I'm going to be discussing a kind of, it feels like big art career breakthrough that I've been looking for quite a long time now, and trying to find a lot of different sources to figure out this whole thing that I'm trying to go through. And so if you want to join me in the next hour, I will be chatting about that. Came to this discovery about 4 o'clock in the morning, went to bed and woke up and basically had time to set up for Colorisma. So it's all going to be off the hip and just kind of, I mean, like normal, right, for this channel. But yeah, so I'm going to close this out and just have you draw with me today. I am working on my comic panel, the first panel for the next comic, so y'all get a sneak peek of that too if you're interested. So I'll see you down there. Let's see. Nope. Okay. It's not ideal. I wanted it to be not that, but it's not doing it. So, all right, let me close this out so I can actually draw correctly here. Zoom that in a little bit. Oh, well, now the only thing is with this setup, I can't really see my own screen, so I'm gonna, sorry for the little moving things around a bunch, but, all right, nope, that's gonna hit my, one day I'll have a proper setup, but that day is not today, I apologize. All right, so kind of what's going on, what's been going on, the story of my art career. I've gone into it before, but just as a quick summary, um, I have been trying to make an art career for myself since 2003, and I've been informed that that is actually more than like 4 or 5 years ago. So uh, I've been really frustrated, and I've been asking for help from a lot of different sources, and nothing. I think the problem is that I've been asking help, and the people who have responded haven't been in the same place as me. And because of that, their advice can't really hit the chord that it needed to compared to the advice that I got from a YouTube video I happened upon last night. I did get some advice to find someone who is kind of a peer in the sense of like someone who's kind of going through the same thing as me, which made sense. I just didn't know anyone like that. So it kind of felt like being told to find a needle in a haystack and then that'll solve all of your problems. And and that just kind of built on to the frustration I was already feeling in all of this. So what I decided was I thought about the goal that I really wanted. Well, let me backtrack. I'm getting too far into it. So yeah, I've been really frustrated for a long time about my whole art career thing because it's not been quite going the way I want. And I've tried a lot of different things. I've tried things I wasn't actually all that interested in, but I thought it would quote unquote, work and, get me the income I needed to be able to then do the thing I wanted. And then I kind of realized like if I'm already going to be doing something I don't super want to do, then I might as well make that not art. I got inspired from that Jim Carrey quote from a few years ago, where he was talking about how his dad got laid off from this factory job after having worked there for 40 years or something. And he said he felt bad for his dad because his dad didn't even particularly like doing that factory work. I mean, who does? But um, and in that way, it was kind of like, why did you spend 40 years of your life doing something you didn't want and never pursuing the thing you did want? And kind of the moral of the story is, if you're going, I don't know, I'm kind of conflating the things that he said. He was more concise in his speech. You should look it up. But the point I got out of it was, if you're going to do something, then just make sure it's the thing you actually want to do. And if you're going to do something creative like art, don't go toward an art that you're not that interested in. Why waste your time doing something that's already kind of rare in the world? There aren't too many full-time artists that you could probably name off the top of your head. Well, maybe this isn't the right demographic to say that to. But if you went off and talk to people, just out and about, one day when we're able to do that again, um, it's very unlikely someone out on the street is like, oh yeah, I can just name like 20 artists, that just visual artists who are making a killing off of their art alone, and that's it. Like, it's just not very common. So why, in this very uncommon field, are we then compromising? Like, why are we compromising on what we want to really do? And I took that to heart, and I stopped doing all the things I wasn't really all that interested in, which a lot of that was like graphic design, or I just got really, really picky about what it was that I really wanted to do. And in that, I came across, over many, many years, and around 2017, I decided to start my comic. And it's The Golden Troop, and I've been developing it since then, and I'd say more or less consistently posting since 2018 or so, late 2018. Um, and I've been really happy. Like, it's the one thing I've created that has combined all of the things I've developed over the years, all my love of like fantasy, my love of mythological creatures, even animals and pets, caricaturizing them, observing their behavior, and even myself to a degree. All the things that I found were interesting, that I've been drawn to over the years, that kind of didn't really make sense given my background. But yeah. Sorry, I gotta look up what a cheetah looks like in this pose, because I am drawing rocks way too big, I think. Let's see. Yeah, there's a good pose. There's a couple good poses. Not quite enough of the top of the head, but I can work with that. But yeah, so I've been developing this property for a couple years now, and I have been trying so hard to separate all of the time before I started this project from the time I started this project, because I know logically it's not fair for me to compare the two. It's not fair for me to be frustrated about all the time before 2017, from like 2003 to 2017, which is a good chunk of time. It's not fair for me to take all that frustration and apply it to my current situation, because I haven't been in my current situation all that long. I haven't found my passion project that whole entire time and was working on it that whole entire time. It was the path to get to my passion project. And the thing is, I'm a human and I can't really separate those. So I've been like dealing with this like underlying frustration that I couldn't really get over. And then a lot of people were telling me advice that were like kind of one-off things that just was, hey, just try this one thing. And I'd be like, okay, done, did it, okay, where's the success? And I just wanted it just like that. And I just became increasingly frustrated with asking for anyone for help, because it just kept being like that. It kept being like these one-off solutions that I either tried in the past or it didn't really resonate, or I just it just didn't seem helpful at the time. And because of that, I was feeling increasingly alone as well. So on top of a global pandemic, on top of living alone myself anyway, and then on top of it all, I didn't even feel like I really had like an art community to rely on, because it was a lot of people who are just kind of saying like, yeah, same, I'm in the same boat. And it's just like, I mean, there's a good place for commiseration, and but I can't say that it helps me too much, because I am very solution based, so I can only commiserate for so long before I'm like, right, but what am I going to do about it? And then when I'd ask that question kind of point blank from people, I just got a lot of like, oh, I don't know. And it's fair, because if you don't know, you don't know. And I'd rather be told that by people than, hey, try this or try that, but all this to say, this quick sum up. I've been really stuck, feeling very, very stuck. I've mentioned it several times, probably every cast through this. And I've been just in this position, in this place mentally, where this is not looking good. I'm going to do my patent technique of reducing the opacity and trying again. I think the base sketch is too undefined. So actually that sucks. I'm just going to delete. It's like too big. She's like, I can't, y'all. Totally distracting here. I've also been coming to terms with the fact that if I don't have ADHD, I will be very surprised. So that is another thing that I've been kind of dealing with and coming to terms with in my own way. It's not like super traumatic. It's more just like, oh, wow, yeah, all of these things that people talk about with ADHD actually fit me, and I just didn't think they did. But yeah, ultimately, I've been frustrated. I feel like I've had no one to turn to, but I did hear the advice of, find a peer that's kind of in your same area. And I went to this website, I think it's called Graphitron or something like that, and it went and discussed Patreon. All it does is show you like different Patreons, kind of all of them really. It's kind of a really cool website in the sense of like, if you feel like stalking your heroes and seeing how much they may be making from their Patreon. I don't say do that to be jealous about it. I say do it so you can figure out how you can then do it, learn from their success. And that's what I tend to do. So I was looking on there, and I was looking at people in my same range who had like the same amount of patrons I did. And there were a few people who were making more, even though they have the same amount of patrons that I did. There are a few people making a little bit more, but I thought, well, I'm actually like, comparatively to the amount of people I have to the amount I'm making from that, I feel really good about that number. I just want to see it like increased. So I decided then to take a higher Patreon amount, like a higher amount of followers. Too high, and it just didn't. It was too unrelatable. When people had like 1,000 patrons, I couldn't relate to that anymore. It was like too unattainable. So I looked into the realm of what does it look like when someone has 100 patrons, and I found this creator through doing that, and I went to their Patreon page and happened to see like the intro video from Patreon. I listened to it, and it's like totally my style. Just a kind of like this off the cuff, talking to the audience directly, not super scripted, kind of my bag, my whole thing. And I really related and resonated with it. And so even though their story wasn't exactly like mine, it was super, super close. They were working on a web comic. They had a YouTube channel, much like myself. They had been working on their webcomic for 2 years, just like myself. And they had 100 patrons, which I have 20, they had 100. So that feels like attainable in a way, right? Like, they obviously are growing faster than me because I've been on Patreon for 5 years, as I found out last night. But it's like it's because I'm not like finding the right tools or the right advice to follow or whatever, or I'm not doing the right kind of things. And I'm hoping through this discovery I made, I can start changing that a little bit more rapidly than I had been in the past. So I happened upon this person's YouTube page, and I have it in the link below. And I looked into the different videos that were available, and it was like exactly what I want. So I was like, subscribe immediately, because it was like all of the kind of things I can't wait to like sit through and listen to every single video I can. And one of the videos that caught my eye was a difficult conversation about webtoon goals. And I was like, huh, okay, I have a webtoon. I haven't posted into it for a while because it didn't seem worth it, but sure, I want to hear about this like difficult conversation. I'm having a difficult conversation with myself right now about what I want to do and everything. And it was like a 40-minute video, and I listened through it all, and I was like, well, damn, this is the exact thing I've been waiting for. It was the exact thing I needed to hear from the exact kind of person who I could like really resonate with their advice, even though it wasn't really given as an advice video. It was more just like, this is my story. But I could really resonate with what they were saying because it was my story too. I was going through the same exact thing kind of. And um, I was just so blown away. I was just like, okay, yes, this exact thing, this is what I needed to hear, this is what I wanted to hear, this is the conversation I've been wanting to have with someone. This video did it for me. And I listened to it all the way through, and I had several takeaways. And kind of I encourage everybody to go like watch the whole entire video. Their art is absolutely gorgeous. I love their webcomic. I started reading it last night as well, and I can't wait to get into it. It's absolutely beautiful. No wonder why they're they have like 100 patrons. They're amazing. And so that said, I listened to it all the way through, and kind of like the whole takeaway was you need to kind of analyze where you're at right now. And I've been hearing so much advice, and like I said, it just wasn't, I just needed it to be spoken in my language, like the language of the struggling artist who is like kind of early in this one particular thing but been at art for a long time, who really just, I needed someone who was like a direct peer to tell me what I needed to hear. And this was that person. And what was said was, you need to analyze where you're at, accept where you're at, and go with it. And that seems like such trivial, simple advice, but it's exactly what I needed to hear. And what they happened to talk about specifically was, instead of like focusing so much on trying to become an original series with like Webtoon, because they do hire on like creators to create the series, and then they just like work full time doing that, which is amazing. It's an amazing opportunity for anyone who can get it. I've heard pros and cons about it, but overall, like being paid to be doing exactly what you want to do is kind of a dream position to be put in. So um and that was their goal, was to do exactly that. And or to make a living off of Patreon. Now, I checked out their stats on Patreon, and what they're making on Patreon would actually allow me to do my stuff full time. So that felt like extra attainable. Not only was it a close match in the sense of like, it wasn't like they had thousands and thousands of patrons, at which point I can't even comprehend that. It was just like a couple dozen more, a few dozen more um, patrons than I currently have, which feels like attainable within like a realistic time frame. I could kind of have the same thing, and then I could potentially have the amount of money that it would take. And in fact, if I just took well, math isn't my strong suit, so we're not going to go there, but it just seemed like something that I could achieve. So hearing the advice really struck a chord in me because it made sense. It absolutely tracked. I knew they were speaking from actual lived experience, which was the same as mine, or very similar situations. I shouldn't say it's the same, but and yeah, after that, I was like, well, first I just want to see like how they happen to go through the last couple years because they are ahead of me in a lot of ways. So one thing that happened to be mentioned in the video though was like they spent all of 20, I think 2020 or 2019, one of the two, like promoting their comic. And I had been trying that, but I didn't really know how very well. But now I feel like with the videos that they've posted about that very thing, like how to promote your comic and how to stay productive and all these kind of like really relevant to my interests kind of posting and videos, then I felt like, oh, okay, got it. I feel like I now have like the tools that I need to be able to actually do this thing and actually be able to move forward because I feel very, very stuck. And one podcast, a different podcast I had listened to said, if you're feeling stuck or you're feeling like you really can't tell which direction you need to go in, then the thing you need to do is stop and analyze, not just keep aimlessly wandering because you could be moving further away from the goal. You could be potentially moving closer to your goal, but you could also, when you're lost, you don't know what direction you're going in, so you have like a 50-50 shot of just kind of ending up somewhere you didn't want to be in. And so this is like my spot to stop and to think and to consider like where am I going, what is it that I need to do, and I'm just so excited that I have a channel full of videos now I can watch that directly address all of these things I've been like wanting advice on for so long now. Um, I haven't obviously had much of a chance to listen to many of the videos. A lot of them are longer, which is, in my opinion, absolutely wonderful. Um, but I am very excited about the opportunity to move forward. And my thoughts on what to do moving forward now are so much more concrete than they were. Before I even watched this video that day, I was like staring. I was literally just staring at my desk for like 15 minutes, like straight down. I had a sheet of a notebook that I was staring at is totally blank, and I was afraid to even make a mark on it because um, I wanted something to like dump my ideas on, but I also want it to look nice. So because I don't know what my ideas are before I dump them out, I didn't want to waste physical media. It's so weird. I didn't want to waste physical media dumping my ideas out and then having to rewrite them all out again in a way that looks nice and I can actually understand it later. So that actually is a big thing that prevents me from doing a lot of the things that they suggest, like idea dumps or figuring out what it is that you're thinking or whatever. So that was like it's a silly thing to get stuck on, but I was literally stuck on that like all day yesterday. And so between that, just periods of time, I was listening to podcasts. I was trying to look up different kind of artists, but not really finding ones I could relate to. And all this took all day. And it wasn't until like 4 a.m. before I found this one person who really resonated with me. But I mean, and it's not just like this one day. I've been spending lots of time just sitting, staring, not really working because again, I did feel lost and I did feel like every single thing I might pick up and try to do was like a gamble. It just felt like a gamble. Like I'd spend all this time, energy, effort, and everything, sunk it all into this whatever it was, whether it was doing more newsletters or making more silly TikToks about the Golden Troop or doing more Instagram ads or whatever. It just, I was so tired of dropping time and energy into something, um, and having no idea what the outcome was, and not even having a guide, a framework or a guideline as to what that effort could yield. Because it just all felt like a lot of effort and having no idea whether or not it yielded anything, which historically it hadn't. So of course I'm like already influenced by that idea that it's probably not going to work out because it hasn't ever worked out in the past. Um, it just really stopped me in my tracks from being able to move forward. And that was really unfortunate because that's how I've spent a lot of 2020, is just kind of like stuck, feeling stuck, trying to ask for help and stuff, and just not feeling like um, I've been able to get the help that I've needed to be able to move forward. And like I said, it wasn't like super breakthrough, like a breakthrough in the sense of I've never heard this advice and I've never anything, it's not anything I've never heard before, to put it like in an actual sentence. But it was the fact that this person had such a similar situation that really kind of struck home for me, because when someone tells you advice, but they're not in the same situation as you, it can really feel like maybe they're being dismissive, or maybe they don't understand your situation, or it's been so long since they've been in your situation that they kind of can't remember how it used to be and how frustrating it used to be, and just kind of, I don't remember what it is to be frustrated to walk correctly, like, because that was when I was a baby. So I probably wouldn't be the person to go to be like, to help babies like learn how to walk or whatever. I don't know. That's a silly example, but um, point being, if someone doesn't really like mesh with your current situation, then sometimes it can be really hard to hear the advice from them. It might be solid advice, but I feel like it's always going to be tailored a little bit toward what their current situation is, and it's very, very difficult for people to empathize enough to actually be able to empathize with your situation. I just think that's a super rare skill that not a lot of people have. And I don't blame them for it. It's just that's how it is. So that tends to be how that whole thing tracks out. And one of the things, moving forward now, um, that I did kind of gain from listening to this was the fact that this other webcomic artist spent a whole entire year promoting their stuff. And even though they mentioned that doing that did help a whole lot in getting the numbers and the fan base that they currently have, um, they did mention that it's still not quite enough. It's still not quite there for them to completely, live off of. But everybody's number for what that is different. And the number that actually isn't quite enough for one person is actually enough for me. So that was like so encouraging, that if I spent the next year just marketing, just posting regularly, and working on building up my audience as the clear goal. That was the other thing that they mentioned. Let me finish my previous sentence before I move on. Um, Now I gotta remember what I just said. But anyway, so I don't know. My brain, it moves to like at 2,000 miles per hour, and I try to catch up enough for my actual physical voice, and it's already gone. It's already like 2,000 miles away. But anyway, um, moving forward, I want to do the marketing, but also what they said that really struck with me was you need to let go of the other things. You need to let go of the dream of like being a webtoon original series, or even the fact that like you want to have Patreon, support you 100%. Like, you just have to let that go. And again, coming from anyone else, that would be a hard pill to swallow. I would not accept it. I would not accept hearing that advice from pretty much anyone else in a situation that wasn't almost directly like my own. But because it was, from someone who was in the same kind of spot as me, I realized, like, okay, got it. And it's not about giving up on your dream of doing that. It's about changing the priority. Because if the priority is, I need to make a living off of Patreon, that's not something you can really control. And I've known that for a while. Like, it's not something that you have direct control over. You can't make people be your, support your Patreon or whatever. It has to be organic. And the only problem with that is, because of that, because of that nature of that thing, having that as a goal is really difficult. It's a really difficult goal, and super easy to get frustrated by, because you just don't have the control. And in fact, earlier this year, that was what I was saying, is like, here's my goal, and this is how many patrons I'm going to get every month. I can tell you, I've gotten one Patreon so far this year, or patron this year. And I've lost multiple. So it's not, that part of it isn't the thing that you can control, but what you can control are your posting days and the way you talk about it and the way you market yourself. And your output is what you can control. You can't control who ends up seeing it or who ends up liking it enough to support you. That's not something that you can really put as a goal, I feel, ultimately, because it's just kind of like, it's not super realistic, right? Like, it's not something that is really possible. So all that said, I do feel like I have so much. I feel like I have so much to do, but in like a really good way. Like, I want to listen to more of these videos from this artist who has put out videos about how they promote and how they market, and just their process and everything else. And through doing that, I'm hoping to get some advice and stuff from them, even more advice than I've already gotten, because I haven't felt this like charged up and excited in a really long time when it comes to what I need to be doing next. And I just feel like I have so much like direction, even though I don't know what that direction exactly is. It's like it all falls into the promotion. Like, I need to move my mindset away from, like, I need to make a living off of this, which can still, like I said, can still be like a goal, but it can't be the only thing I'm focusing on. But I can focus on marketing myself better. And after hearing some tips and seeing the success that someone else did, I can look into the different techniques that they did and then potentially emulate them for myself. And in doing that, I'm really hopeful that I could be a lot further along with the Golden Troop than I happened to be like this time last year. Yes, yeah. Christy says it's so awesome to get advice that actually clicks and makes sense, and it absolutely is. It's like I said, I haven't felt this like fired up in a really long time, and a lot of this is chaotic energy because I'm just super excited about it, but I haven't actually sat down and like listened to these videos and wrote down notes from it and decided on a concrete plan. That can be something I might talk about in another future video. Like, this is my just excited babbling video, which, sorry, but um I think that's important too to kind of share with y'all, because this whole thing, like this whole colorisma thing, has been like the journey. I wanted to share, like, from the little babby, little starting stage that when I started this podcast, to literally showing the growth, showing the process, showing the frustration, because that's another thing, is that a lot of people really want to talk about the frustration after it's been like super far in the rearview mirror. And I it's not that I don't think that's genuine. It's just like, I don't know. I think there's something to be said for actually being in the moment of frustration and talking through it as well, which I don't hear or see a lot of in our art circle. Um, they, people will do that behind the scenes and stuff, but I don't really see videos and stuff portraying that as it's actually happening. It's like they want to do the wise sage thing. They want to wait until after to talk about it. And I I do see the value in that, but I also see value in the here and the now. And I feel like I'm hoping anyway that that can help people feel more seen in their current frustrations, because it's not like, oh yeah, I was frustrated once. It was a long time ago. I kind of remember it. It's like, I'm frustrated right now and this is why. And then someone else can go, me also. Also I like and I just, I hope that actually helps people. That was kind of the whole entire goal of this entire production I've been doing since, like, I think last July or June or so. But yeah, so I'm a little bit like, I took a long time to build up to the point, and then I didn't have a lot planned after that. But I guess, and my nose is acting up. I think I've like got allergies today or something. Yeah, and Christy says hindsight always helps, but you can get more into the details of the struggle while you're in them because it's all fresh in your mind. Exactly. Um, and like I said, I do feel like hindsight is helpful because you can kind of like calmly present it and always just be like super um, meditative about it and zen, and talk about it in the past tense, and it's a distant memory now, and but now it's all better, but it also kind of perpetuates that like FOMO thing of like fear of missing out, because it's like, we missed out on your struggle in a way. Not like I'm saying like everybody needs to struggle in front of the camera, because that can be damaging too, but um never showing the struggle ever. Only ever, it's like only ever showing the finished art, the perfect, and never showing the ugly stage, in the actual art process. It gives a like false sense of um reality of how the situation actually plays out. God, my nose is really, it was fine until I started talking a lot, and now it just suddenly is like, hey, you know what? It's springtime and you have allergies now. Welcome. Um, and the temperature changed too. It was like 70 degrees 2 days ago, and now it's 40. So that's really fun. Random. But yeah, so moving forward, I feel really confident about the direction for the Golden Troop. And by direction, I don't just mean, that business term or marketing term, but more like the priority I'm going to face. I'm going to put on the project, and the priority. And I knew this to a degree. I needed to get people to like be aware of the property. That has been like the biggest kind of struggle right now, is that people just don't know about it. Um, and I knew that that was a focus I needed to work on. And like I said, it just felt like, okay, yeah, okay, that's what I need to focus on, but how? And I found now a resource full of how to do it. And I think that's probably the thing I'm the most excited about in all of this, is I've been asking this question of like, okay, right, but how do I promote it? What do I do? What I need exact answers, and just being told like one random solution, not random, but one solution, and then kind of like mic drop. All right, I'm done. Has been super frustrating for me. And now I finally feel like, oh, okay, got it. Like, let me listen to this advice. Let me check it out. Let me figure out what is to be said about it and everything. And I can directly apply these things that I'm going to learn about into my own business practice, because that's the other thing. I've been trying to listen to everyone, but because not everyone's situation is all that similar to my own, in the sense of like, I'm doing a webcomic. That's different than fine art. That's different than graphic design. That's different than making videos. That's different than doing children's books. And so when I listen to all these other creators and they are not also making a webcomic, then I can take bits and pieces of what they say, but there's always going to be this like slight disconnect between the advice that they have to offer for me. And take that as a, take what I say as a grain of salt too, because I am very specifically talking about graphic design or not graphic design. What is wrong with me? Talking about web comics. And so if that isn't directly applicable to your situation, then it's not going to quite resonate than it will with someone who is exactly doing what you're doing. I think I like that more. There's some like tangents going on. But yeah, so sorry, my talking brain is shut down momentarily as I have problem solving brain going. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. So it just hits different when it's your exact situation. And then you hear advice that is that exact situation. So I will say yes. The generic advice of find someone who is kind of doing what you're doing and whose success you also feel drawn to, like you have to define your own version of what success looks like. Like it's different for everyone. That said, not a lot of people discuss how to actually do that. Now, for me, success looks like a Patreon that is able to support me. That's what it looks like. I'm willing to have other alternate means for having a diversified income. I've been trying to have a store and sell stickers and now like other products as well. But without the brand recognition of people knowing what it is I'm doing and know much about the property, then God, my nose. Sorry. Then without that, the stickers and stuff aren't going to do well. Neither will the Patreon, but I need it. Like, I feel like if I focus on the Patreon, then the other stuff will come. Like, either patrons will support me through the stickers, or people who don't want to support me like every single month or can't support every single month might want to get one-off sticker, kind of new design sticker designs. Which is funny because like the stickers are all like above my base tier, so I don't know. But I guess one $3.50 thing compared to like paying monthly $2 is still less money. But anyway, yeah. I am kind of like all over the place right now. I'm still processing everything, like everything that I learned about. It went a lot better in my head when I was like, oh yeah, I'll talk about this thing I newly discovered. Um, I might go back to scripting these. I don't know. But for now, I just got really excited. I wanted to chat about it and kind of discuss like moving forward. And I think because I've been stuck for so long, the idea of moving forward seemed like such a far away kind of thing that it was just super exciting for me to actually feel like I could move forward in a way that was productive and made sense and was something that was going to actually yield results, because I kind of have a super intolerance for investing a lot of time into something and it yielding nothing, because that keeps happening to me and it's beyond frustrating. So for me, I really just wanted to find that little bit of advice, that little bit of something that that could resonate with me, and then take on that advice. And I finally have. So I recommend that for other people as far as how to do the same. Like I started to say and got distracted. Um, for me, success looks like a monthly Patreon that allows me to be able to do this full time. For you, it might look like something different. Maybe it looks like working for a big publisher and doing children's books and getting paid enough to be able to do that full time. So you got to figure out what it looks like for you. And then for the thing with the Patreon, I knew there was a website out there that showed people's Patreons, how much they made, what they put them in these categories and rank them. I was like 14,000th in the ranking that they put me in. I wanted to be put in comics, but I guess you didn't get to control that, what ranking you got put in. So I actually asked them to put me in comics, because I feel like that would, I don't even think there's 14,000 comics that are in that category. They put me in the category of video, which I'm not really sure why they did that. But yeah, so for me, it looked like Patreon. I found this website that tracked different Patreons, and I saw one. I was looking through them very methodically, looking at things that resembled the kind of artwork I did, checking out their Patreon. A couple I found, but they weren't quite doing the same thing, in the sense of maybe they were in the comics category, but they were offering advice, and that's not really what I'm doing. It's what I do here on this channel, but it's not what I do on my main Patreon that I'm trying to grow the most. So I was looking for somebody who's actually doing the same exact thing I was, in the sense of like wanting to create a weekly or monthly or whatever continual long form web comic and making a living from it. And not so much of a living that I couldn't relate, because there's definitely those. I've talked before about the people who have like 14,000 patrons, and so they're at least making $14,000 a month or whatever. That seems so far-fetched for me that I can't even comprehend that. So cannot even comprehend that. It's like most of my income in a single month that I make in a whole year. But yeah, so that said, I looked into the Graphitron. I saw someone, I happened to, look through a bunch of different people, but then I got the idea to look for someone slightly ahead of my station, in the sense of like something like the next step. What is the next step I need to be at, or could potentially be at, that could help me? And then I researched them, what they did. Their art style isn't exactly like mine at all, but it's more in the sense of like, it's kind of realistic. And I just realized like that doesn't really make sense. I might have to redraw this whole thing. I get too ambitious with my ideas, and sometimes I don't really track. But yeah. So I looked them up. I found this. I don't know that this is going to happen for everyone. I've also been trying to like listen to different advice, ask for different advice for months now. So I'm not going to say like, oh yeah, just do one thing and that should answer out everything for you. it's been a long slog for myself, and I can only imagine it's probably that way for most people, unfortunately. If I could just make everyone successful, like right now, I would just do that because that would be super awesome. Or like successful in the way they want to be. Um, then I wish I could just do that for everyone. Um, but yeah, it definitely helped to find the person that I could directly relate to the most and had like the same kind of situation. To completely go off the cuff, which how could I even say that? Because I've been doing that this whole entire time. But on a completely different example, say you want to do children's book illustrations, then I would suggest like looking up a children's book illustrator that has a not exact, not clone copy, but and here's the thing on the differentiation I'm going to make. Don't look up someone who you want to emulate. Look up someone who already emulates what you do. Do it in the reverse. Make them come to you in the sense of like, don't aspire to be a different style. Look for people who are already doing something similar to what you are. Not like I said, not carbon copy, not the same exact thing. You want to be different and stand out. But I think in doing that, you can more accurately reflect your potential career path. I think if you do the aspiration thing, then you're changing what it is you do. You can like things, you can have taste that isn't actually what you do. Like, I really like flowy, abstract watercolors and stuff, but it's not what I do. It's not even what I want to do. I do like it, but it doesn't mean that I want to emulate that in my work. Think of the same thing for yourself and your own work, and then find someone who is doing a similar style to yourself. And if you can, find out more about them in a respectful way. Don't be creepy. And then track the progression of their career. They probably do have like a progression from their first book to what they're currently doing. They may have YouTube videos that offer advice. They may have a blog that offers advice. They may just list, maybe they don't have much about them at all, but you can see through their credits who they work for. Or maybe most children's book illustrators, you need an agent in order to work with Scholastic or Penguin or anything like that. So maybe they might list their agent, and then you can look up that agent, so there are ways to like figure out what is the next step I have to do. And if there's someone who's like not where you're at, like there's no one that has your style, you might want to like think like, okay, is my style so unique that no one else does this at all, which is a consideration. That might be the case. Or is it I need to do more practice and more work and get better before I can enter this field? That's also another important conversation you need to have with yourself. But yeah, so that was my stumbling attempt at trying to diversify my advice outside of just the webcomic sphere, because that's where I currently live. But I hope it was helpful for y'all. I could go on, but it would just be honestly rambling, and I'm really excited to listen to like more of these videos so I can actually have a more in-depth like, hey, this is what I'm actually doing now to help this advice. Here's my piece that I did not get very far on, and I'm not sure I'm going to keep it. But I appreciate all of y'all listening, and I do apologize. This was a little bit more rambly than normal. I just got excited. I was debating even coming on today at all, but I was like, no, I want to share this moment, even if it is a little more wimbly wombly than normal, but normal is pretty wimbly wombly. That said, I appreciate y'all listening and checking out the show as always. I do have a guest, I believe, next week. I will double check the schedule, but I'm super excited for the future. I'm so much less frustrated now and so much more excited. If I could transfer this feeling to everyone, I absolutely would. I really hope you all are having a decent time. If not, hang in there and I'm, let us know about it. We do have a Discord community, and you can share about your frustrations there. And yeah, I look forward to hearing from all y'all. If you would like to support what I'm doing here on this show, and in particular the Colorisma show, then you can check out all the social media that is listed at Colorisma, or you can check out patreon.com/Colorisma. So I appreciate everything, and I hope you all have a good one. Take care. Bye.